One. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Rippily Show. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. I'm so glad that you're here with us. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and today we are continuing our series, Use Cases, Designing Spaces That Actually Work. Now, last week, we talked about the pre-build audit, asking the important questions before you actually build anything. And I know that sometimes that's hard for people, right? Because we want to get our people together. We are excited about the spaces we're building, but there's really something to be said for that pause that we take before we start building. And today we are taking one of the most requested and really common space inside of virtual platforms. And that is, we're going to be talking about co-working spaces. Now, what's interesting is that people hear co-working and immediately either think, oh, people silently working together or networking, and not a lot of kind of in between. But good co-working spaces are actually about something much deeper. We're talking about rhythm, accountability, energy, consistency, and presence. And honestly, some of the best co-working spaces aren't even the fanciest ones. They're the ones people return to, the ones that feel easy to enter, easy to understand, and easy to participate in. Co-working often fails when there's too much friction, too many instructions, too much confusion, and too much pressure. People are already trying to focus. Your space should help with that, not compete with it. And what I love about Rippily is that we are not limited to one style of co-working here. We can make it exactly what we want. And Rippily has a ton of features that help us create the most amazing co-working spaces. So we're going to dive into all of that today. But coming up first, we have lots of announcements to share in our Founders Corner. So please welcome back to the show, Claudio Peroni. Claudio, welcome.
Hey, hi.
Always good to have you here because we don't see each other enough.
Yeah, that's right.
Love it. So I know you have been a busy bee as always, but you've really done a lot with our experience as we enter Rippily over the last week. Why don't you share some of the things that you've been working on, starting out with, I think, one of my favorites.
Favorites. Yes, I was going to say. Yeah, so a lot went into understanding how we can improve the user experience, especially for people who are new. So like there's been a lot of features like related to new people join Rippily, maybe they're invited. So what is the first tab, for example, that they see, and so like we reorganized the tabs so that you would have like a home tab, the discovery, for a moment has been called explore, back to discovery. Then yesterday I talked to someone who says, why did you rename it back? I liked explore. Actually, I didn't tell you about this one, but anyways, you can't win, right? Whichever way. But anyways, and then reorganizing a little bit the tabs around in the dashboard. But more importantly, in the home, now what we have is we can start from anywhere. We can start either a Ripple or a wave, or like a bunch of waves, a bunch of ripples, so that you can return to them very quickly. In fact, you may even be in fact, actually, even if we look at the Rippily Show right now, we can see the at the very top, right, the title bar, there is a little star there, because I may decide to start the show so that it becomes easy then to go back to that whenever whenever I want, right? Because very often we end up, yes, exploring and discovering different areas, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of people find themselves either coming back to their own spaces and want to have an easy shortcut to that, or more often than not, you would go with people you hang around, and so you would have that shortcut, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is kind of the idea of designing like a homepage that more and more will be like a command control, right? I always have in mind, like, say, Spotify as an image, right? Where you have Spotify, you have like music you like, and maybe in the future you would be directed to, how about, exploring, so if you like this, you may like this other community or something like that.
Right. Well, I will say that I'm a big Spotify user, and I appreciate the way that you can favorite things in Ripply much easier than Spotify. So I'm going to just say it. I'm going to say it live on air today, because it should, in my thought, it shouldn't take, 3 to 4 clicks to get something to go where you want it to go. I mean, it should be much easier than that. And when you're organizing music and things on other platforms, sometimes it's, you have to click this, then go to this menu, then drag it here, and you're doing all of this effort to, make a playlist or something like that. And to me, it was so easy inside the dashboard to click the star, it shows up there, and then if you don't like where it lands, you just drag it to the other.
Yeah, you can easily drag and drop. I mean, you also have like on a side, you have sections where you have like recently visited, the top 5-6 ripples you visited before, or communities that you joined. Again, instead of taking like the whole space as we did before, like you just put it on a sidebar, and you can star whichever ones you want, but also you can go to another tab and star, and then have them again to the homepage. So anyways, that's possibly the most feasible feature that I added this week. There is another less feasible feature, which I keep saying this, brings me back to memory lane. So something that people probably don't know, because I released it really just a few hours ago. And, for everybody just to know, I usually release multiple times a day. That's the way it works. Hopefully when you sleep or when you're not around, but sometimes I do. And so what I created was something that honestly I should have done like a long time before, but basically it's the change log. So if you go at the very, actually, if you can, exactly. You go to the footer there, you go to change log, and what you will see is grouped by, well, on the right side is grouped by month, but basically grouped by week. You will see, so last week, I mean, from yesterday, 11th of May, stuff I just talked about. And again, like it's a sort of fairly detailed, it doesn't necessarily talk about the specific technology maybe that I've used, but basically that's what happens, right? It goes into the history of everything that I've been building and builds up like a summary that is hopefully, I don't want to say non-developer friendly, but it's not as technical as it could be, because you don't care about what technology goes behind. Do you know what Redis is? Probably not, right? So doesn't matter. But basically, it's taking a summary of the information. And what I love about this is that if you go to December 2025, and then you scroll down to the very bottom, you will see the very, very bottom, you will see day 1. So that's when it all started. For the first week, I actually created a summary of each single day. And then from the following week up is the entire week, right? And there's a lot of stuff. And so I had to, do a little bit of work. But it brings me back to memory lane. So day one is when I started working on the editor. Day two, again, improved some aspects of the editor. Day three, there was live audio and video. Day four, did the deployment. I think I set up the live the live server. And I think it was on day four that I made the first call to Peggy.
Yeah. Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. And I think it's nice for people who maybe haven't seen it built from the beginning to have this way to go back and go. I mean, to see where everybody came from, but also to go back and be like, there's only 6 months listed here. What do you mean? Because I think we forget so quickly how fast this came about in terms of like how platforms are typically built, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, a reflection of new times, right? With AI assisted development. So again, you take like professional development is really evolving as a profession. And so this is what happens when you embrace this kind of tools. Then you're working night and day with, with agents and build a lot of stuff like this. It really takes a lot of discipline, though, to have a code base that keeps being maintainable and doesn't introduce too many regressions and things like that. So it can go really in bad directions really, really fast if your guard goes down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic. So definitely when you go over to your Rippily dashboard, scroll down, or even just from rippily.com, you can scroll down to the bottom and you'll find the help files, the change log, and then of course the legal stuff. That's always fun. But it's right there, and you can click on it and go down memory lane too, which is exciting. All right. So, and there was one other thing that you introduced as well, which was a different option for colors.
Yeah, theme management. So one thing that I do love is that theme selector, like in the header. I created something similar, like in a previous experiment, that I built 2 years ago, and I thought, yeah, you know what? Let's do a better theme management. And so maybe we talked about this last week as well. Like it was the idea of having, we have the ocean theme, which is the default one. It's kind of a dark theme, which provides, it's beautiful. However, it's not for everyone for a number of reasons. And so the pure theme is more accessible. And then I created a sangria theme, which is, something that is still very accessible because it's based on a white background, but it's got a little bit more, how can I say, personality. And the reason I call it sangria, which Coach Debbie says I'm a sangria girl. Me too, actually. I love sangria. But the reason it's called sangria is because, well, there were two things. One, I had Maria harassing me, basically asking me a billion questions. How do you do this? And this doesn't work. How do you fix? So I had Maria, who actually is Spanish, in mind. And as I was creating the theme, it started looking like a very Spanish sort of colors, right? Coming from the flag and some of the colors that usually I associate at least with Spain. And so Sangria was born.
Love it. I love it. Well, and there's lots of people saying they're sangria girls in the chat, which, I smell a badge coming, you guys. I think a badge needs to happen for I'm a Rippily sangria girl. That would be what's happening.
I want it too. I'm a girl. I'm a sangria girl.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. So, anything else you want to share before you head off and join our audience today?
Not really. It's keep working, keep using it. I'm already working on the next thing, but it's too early to talk about it, and I may screw everything up in between. So I'd better not saying anything, and working on that.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you again for being here today, Claudio. And we look forward to discussing all of the amazing tools that you've given us for our co-working behind your back today. So thank you for coming. And we'll see you again next week.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. So, one of my favorite things to do or things about co-working inside of a virtual space is meeting amazing people in those spaces and also meeting more amazing people who also host incredible co-working spaces as well. And one of those people for me, you know her well and good here on the show. And she has amazing co-working spaces, networking spaces, lots of incredible things here inside the Rippily platform. So please welcome back to the show, Peggy McCartha. Yes. Here we go. All right. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me. I always love to be here, of course.
Well, and I know that this topic today about co-working is one that you are excited about as well, because you have co-working inside the Global Business Plaza, and you've also attended co-working. And I'm going to remember yesterday when you said, don't tell me anything that you don't want to keep private. So I'm going to say the same. I'm going to say that yesterday, Peggy came to my co-working session and she was so productive. Can everybody give Peggy some love for how productive she is?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, as some of you may know, co-working was not, I've been self-employed my whole life. I've never been in a corporate situation. And so co-working is something that used to really annoy me. I would be like, why do people want to work together? I'm working, be quiet. And one of the things when the Global Business Plaza started, happening was people were like, I want co-working. And I was like, no. And so finally, I facilitated co-working and I didn't really get it. Right. And then I went to Jessica's co-working and I went to Dr. CK's co-working and I was like, oh, okay. I kind of see how this is. And so the Global Business Plaza co-working, I kind of put my own spin on it, right? Because that's it. You got to put your own kind of personality on it. So, we have it broken up into do the brave task, the thing that you've been putting off because you don't want to do it. Do your thing for your future self, which is what we end with and that's organizing and calendaring and making sure that our, things are in order. And, we have different things that we do throughout the day. But yesterday I had, a little surgery last month. So I'm a little bit behind on things. And we have an expo coming up very, very soon. And so there was a lot of things I needed to do. And I was talking to Jessica and she's like, well, I have co-working. I was like, you know what? Let me just go into your co-working. Because I thought if they annoy me, I will just, leave or mute myself. That's what I
go in the do not disturb area.
I'll go in the do not disturb area and I'll be there working alone. But instead, I got everything done that I needed to do yesterday. I got it all done in 2 hours. I was so proud of myself. And I made an event and Jessica jokingly, I showed her, I was like, look what I did, because some of the things I did, there were things that Jessica needed to know. And so she went and registered. She's like, I need a badge for being the first person to register. And I'm thinking, this is my co-working time and I'm going to make a badge for you. Yes, I am. I'm going to make a badge for you. So not only did I get everything done, but I also made Jessica a badge. And anybody that's just tuning in, yes, that is some weird obsession that we have around here. If you do anything, you may get a badge for it.
Yeah, and it's my fault. I'm not sorry about it. It just is.
Jessica was that teenager with stickers on everything, I am guessing.
I absolutely had stickers everywhere. So I wanted to talk about, because you mentioned, this kind of idea that you had about co-working, right? Like what you thought it was. And so I want to talk about some different types of co-working spaces. I have 6 kind of that we could go through here. The first is quiet focus co-working, where you have minimal conversation, calm environment, often camera optional, and it's designed for deep work. Now, I've hosted these occasionally where we're not really doing Pomodoro style. We come into the room, there's a message that says we're co-working today, put in the chat what you're working on, and there's no clock. There's no requirements. There's no badges. I know everybody's shocked. There's no confettis. There's none of it. It's like there's something magical that happens. And I think this is the first part of co-working. The magic of co-working is just being in the space with other people who are also working too, because we are, a lot of us, working alone as entrepreneurs. And it can kind of be like, well, no one's here to see anything. I'm just going to scroll on social media for the day or whatever, And so how do you feel about that kind of, just quiet focus, coming in, not really a structure, just working?
That is the first co-working that I was like able to do virtually, because again, I was used to, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So I like, being able to manage my own time has not been a problem for me. Feeling alone sometimes is a problem, but being able to manage my own time is not. And so that was kind of my pet peeves about co-working. Solara is saying hi here, is that that I didn't want to be interrupted. I wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do. So that was, and then when I started working with people, I realized the power in the accountability in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mentioned on there kind of, quiet, conversation, not really conversation, maybe minimal conversation. But another space that's a type of co-working that's very similar are what are known as body doubling spaces. So these spaces are especially helpful for people who are neurodivergent, ADHD, and it's simply about having others present that helps us to increase our focus. So in these spaces, it's working alone together. A lot of times it's, coming in and you have, you're just checking into the space and then you go off and kind of do your own thing. But that yourself, your avatar, your virtual body is in a space with other people. So that's another version. But I also mentioned Pomodoro style, which is structured work and breaks, shared accountability. It's a predictable rhythm, and it is really, really good for consistency. And that's the type of co-working that the Breakthrough Show Network has always done, which is that sort of work, break, because part of what I do in my community is talk about the importance of taking breaks, of breathing. And remember, we are humans and we're not just needing to put out information and create without a break in between. So when did you discover that? Okay, wait a minute. I have a better question first. Do you actually, when you do Pomodoro style sessions, Peggy, do you actually take a break when it's time to take a break? This is a hot button topic. I want everybody to put it in the chat.
I think everybody should put that in the chat. So that is probably why I realized that the Pomodoro style is the best, is because taking a break is not instinctual to me. Like I will go and go and go, and then like 4 hours later stand up and go, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. Like right now. Because like until I stop, like I don't, like I will get very, I for years editing photos and video, and you get really tunnel vision in that. And that's not really healthy, because your body does need to move. And so I do try when the break and that's what we do in the Global Business Plazas. We do a 25-minute, 5-minute, and we kind of stop and tell us what's going on. Go take a break. Go get refill your jug of water or tea, and all of those kind of things. So yeah.
So Sang was talking about in the chat that she gets up, walks around, jumping jacks, hydrate, and Teresa was saying because sometimes one task leads to another, it's so nice to take breaks and appreciate having a moment of gratitude, right? Your progress before moving on. Claudia's talking about the break times, but we'll tie into that in just a minute, because as he mentioned in the chat, he actually, of course he does, knows the person who created the Pomodoro technique. And so I want to talk about that for just a minute. It was created in the late 1980s by Francesco Cirillo, and he used a Pomodoro-shaped kitchen timer. Pomodoro is tomato in Italian, and the basic structure is 25 minutes of focused work, a 5 minutes break, and then after 4 rounds of that 25-5, you take a longer break if you're going to continue on. Why does it work? It reduces overwhelm. It makes starting easier, creates urgency without panic. It gives the brain predictable rest cycles, and it builds momentum through repetition. Now, as he mentioned, he does it a little bit differently. Claudio said he does 48-minute work, 12-minute break, and he could go on for days that way. I could too. I really enjoy just having that. I think that's that predictability for me. There are also people do 90-minute deep work cycles, creative Pomodoros that have different themes, and then silent breaks versus conversational breaks. When we host them, and I know this is the case for Dr. CK as well, we have talking breaks in between to have that intentional check-in time of saying, what did you accomplish? What are you most proud of? We give badges. Yes, as Susan mentioned, badges. There's confetti. There's birds tweeting that scared Peggy yesterday. There's all kinds of things that can make it fun, which to me, it's the point of doing co-working together. If you're gonna just have a little bit of fun.
Now that early bird tweet may make me never come early to your co-working again. I'm just saying that Peggy about had a heart attack yesterday. But that's fine. That's fine.
I am so proud of that little bird. Bird. Turn the bird down. We're gonna
now, Jessica, can I interrupt you, because something happened while you were talking that I found really interesting, and I really want to go off topic Claudio, what happened? Did she butcher the person's name or the story? You got to unmute and tell us.
Cirillo, Francesco Cirillo.
There you go. Wonderful.
Poor Claudio was like, "What are you saying?" You get an F on your
That's
language
okay. Class. That's okay. Luckily, I don't have to host the show, so you can host it, Peggy. That'd be fine. Okay, so there's lots of different ways, obviously, that we can do the Pomodoro sessions. And then there's some other types of sessions, too, that you can have for co-working. There's networking, there's creative sprint rooms, there's open flow co-working, which is kind of like no timers, drop in, drop out. I personally don't work really well with anything where we're doing a lot of chit-chatting, because for me, there is... I'm not getting a lot done. It's too much for me to be listening to other conversations and try to work on what I'm working on. So, it's challenging for me in those ways. But do you enjoy any of those, Peggy?
Tell me what is networking, co-working? Is that just like kind of chatting away as you're working? Is that I've never heard that before.
So conversation is encouraged. It's work and relationship building, and it's usually more casual and social than being, really buckling down and getting things done. It might be for, more mundane tasks if you're just making a checklist,
Right.
or doing something that doesn't require a whole lot of focus. And I think there's time and place for that, because I've even found, in other events that I come to, I'll be doing some little things behind the scenes, maybe that I need to get done, where I'm, participating in what's going on, but I can also handle, really small, like I said, mundane tasks that don't really require a lot of brain power. So,
when I'm editing images, I do that. I love to talk to somebody because it's all visual and brain work, and I can talk, so that, but when I'm doing other things, I just like to be left alone. So yeah, I think but like you said, there's time and place for everything. And if I were doing photography more full time, I would probably love to find a place that I could set and edit and chat. I do that. I go into your office and I chat with you while I'm editing pictures. You don't realize that we're doing network co-working. That's what's happening.
Well, I think that's something a lot of us do, honestly, on the Rippily platform. We'll come in and Sang and I are often sitting and chit-chatting while we're working on a lot of little things. And and so I think that a platform like Rippily really lends itself to that sort of drop in, hang out, say hi, do a couple little things, and see where it goes. So some of the Rippily tools that I want to mention that help us to support co-working: Rippily has timers, which are perfect for Pomodoro sessions, and they are customizable. So if you want to do, 17-minute work, 3-minute break, you could do whatever you want and put that in the timer. And it's visible in the room for everybody. It also has like a brown noise setting. It also has a little tick-tock that you can set to go off every 5 minutes or so, that can, is customizable to the user, which I think is great, because everybody kind of has different preferences sometimes. There's also variables and that we can use, and layers and things like that when we are doing specific types of co-working events. I do a business breakthrough co-working every right around the last week of every month. And those are 4 very specific places in our business where we're doing some cleaning up, some decluttering. And so I made really cute scenes to help us stay on task with those business, tasks that help us remind us. So if we're working on decluttering emails, the background has these little owls with mail flying everywhere, and it's a cute little reminder of what we're doing. You also have in Rippily camera and mic flexibility. You can have a silent presence. We also have, speaking of silent, spatial layout design, which we love. And it helps us create special breakout zones where you can have, for example, in mine and CK's co-working spaces, and I know yours as well, you have quiet zones if you get a phone call that comes in or something like that. And we also have a table where you can go if you need to collaborate with someone in the room, which is really helpful.
I think I love those more than anything, because sometimes you're co-working with 12 people and you want to ask 1 or 2 of them a question, but you don't want to interrupt the whole room and you don't want to leave and come back. So you're just like, hey, hop down to the collab with me and, chat. And then you can go back about your business. Or like you say, if you instead of trying to figure out how to mute your tab and all of that, just jump down into a quiet mode, and what's being said and done here isn't going to bother you, and you're not going to bother anyone. So I love those. I love those zones a lot.
They're super helpful. And to make things fun, we have the interaction elements as well. We have confetti. There's rooms. Dr. CK has a little water fountain that reminds us all to drink our water and use the bathroom. And there's different things that we can have in place to kind of have our progress systems, momentum building, all of those things. And finally, what I really love is that with creating a space on Rippily for your co-working, as opposed to using, a meetup room on a different platform that changes every time. The rooms always stay available, and that familiarity of where the co-working is going to be builds trust, and people start to develop routines, and they're going to the same place each and every time. And it's nice to have that stability there that people can return to. So those are some of the amazing points that we have. I want to put in a couple polls for us today. So what type of co-working environment helps you most? I'd like you to answer in the chat. Pomodoro structured sessions, open flow co-working, quiet independent focus, and social and conversational co-working. It's over in the chat now. We would love to hear from you, and we'll see what everybody finds out. All right. So far, the Pomodoro is winning. What would you say is your favorite out of those four, Peggy?
Well, right now, I've kind of been doing a lot of the Pomodoro. It really depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes, and in fact, there's times that people will come into the Global Business Plaza and I'm like, okay, I really need quiet, just steady work today. If I'm going to run the clock for you guys, but know that I'm actually going to be I've got to buckle into some things. So I think it's, we all have different tasks we're doing. So it's probably independent of the actual need.
Right. Right. All right. So let's see what our winner is over here in the chat. The number one type of co-working environment that helps you most is Pomodoro or structured sessions. 64% of our participants today appreciate that type of environment the most. We love that. Second place was open flow co-working. So sort of coming and going. Two people enjoy that as well. Least amount was the social and conversational. I think like you said, it has its place when we're picking at little things, but as far as structured, I gotta have the structure. The structure. Can't believe I'm saying that, but here we are. All right. Here's the next question. What makes you stop returning to a co-working space? Inconsistent schedule, too chaotic or distracting, confusing layout or flow, or lack of engagement / community?
I do not like, if I'm going somewhere to work, I don't want chaos and distractions.
Yeah, me neither.
I can have that in my own little office has enough of that.
Right. Well, and you know what's interesting about that? So we started, I reformatted how our co-working was run very recently. And I had to come up with, thanks to our fabulous Tanya Fisher in the legal department over in the Global Business Plaza, as we were talking about legal, terms and conditions, guidelines, and all of that, I really changed the format of how mine was done and what the expectations are in the space, because I had this realization of going, if we continue to grow at the rate that we are growing, what is it going to be like if there's 50 people in the room and we've only got 5-minute break in between rounds? It's going to be too chaotic and distracting. And so that's why things had to change. I know there were people that but why? Why can't we do this, that, and whatever? Because I'm thinking long-term. And I don't want it to be chaos for people.
And that's something that, and I know this isn't what this show is the topic is about, but when you are building something, you got to think long term, and you've got to think about the user experience. And that's one thing that Claudio does on a daily basis is, with Rippily, he's thinking, okay, it's great for, 300 people here, but what about when there's 300 or 300,000? Like, how is this experience going to be? And he's always thinking forward.
Right. All right. The winner of that poll was, in fact, 82% said they will stop returning to a co-working space if it is too chaotic or distracting. And then tied for second, but just a small percentage of people said they don't like an inconsistent schedule and lack of engagement and community. I think, again, that's part of the great thing about co-working. If you're not going to engage in the space actively, why are you at co-working? You should just be working by yourself. It's
Right.
what it is. All right, final poll here. What matters most in a co-working community? Is it consistency and reliability, good people, community vibe, structure and accountability, or inspiring environment and design? And you can pick more than one, you guys. You can pick multiple if there's multiple things that are important to you. Oh, this is
I figured it's going to be a lot of structure and accountability because some people really like and need that. And I think it's a lot about the community vibe. Like, who do you want to like set with? I'm actually, I figured that would be a little bit more structure and accountability, to be honest. Yeah. I figured those would be neck and neck. So, but I did figure the community vibe was going to be a big one.
Yeah. And I'm surprised too that consistency and reliability isn't up there, because I agree with one of the options in the last poll about just knowing when it's going to be, and I can structure my week around that. So if I have certain tasks that I know that are going to be due, then I don't want to sit and have to do by myself. I'd rather be in a community space for it. If I know, okay, Artemis, CK, Peggy, myself, we have co-working at these times, then I can plan to do that work there. Now, if somebody takes those away or aren't consistent, I'm a planner. I can't necessarily always work that in. I can't always work it in.
Right. Exactly. And we're all run businesses and we have meetings and our calendars are open at specific times. And so I allocate certain times to doing this type of work, certain times to doing consultant work, certain times, all of these things. So if it's bouncing around, it may not work for me.
Right. All right. Tell us what the winner is, Peggy.
It disappeared for me. There we go. Okay. It's like too chaotic or distracting.
Oh, wrong one.
That was the last one. There we go. Good people, community vibes.
There it is.
And that's what I figured. I figured that would be close.
Yeah. Second place, 33% said structure and accountability. But this was the first poll that we've done that had some, I think maybe one of everything. Yes, a little bit of everything. Consistency and reliability, inspiring environment. Lots of things are important to people. And I think the great news about good people and community is we have a lot of good people on the Rippily platform. So we'll just say that. We'll put it out.
We do.
All right, everybody. Thank you for participating in our polls today. I want to talk to you really quickly about what's happening on the next Rippily Dive that happens every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Check it out. All right. Say hello, everybody, to our fabulous studio audience today. Good to see you as always. All right, everybody. So coming up this week, we are going to do a little bit of bubbles, embedding, and button sets. It sounds like a tongue twister. Bubbles, embedding, and bubbles and button sets. That's what we're gonna play with. But bubbles is a structure within Rippily, and so I think we're gonna have Claudio tell us to get our act together and learn how to use bubbles correctly. But I also took a little poll the last Rippily Dive about what are some of the things that people want to see? And there was a lot of chat about embedding things and also about button sets. So marking different things as buttons and being able to select one at a time, kind of like radio buttons. So we're going to look a little bit further into those things on Saturday, and it'll be fun. Anybody in our audience today have a quick word about that they would like to say about participating in co-working on Rippily? Any of our audience want to chime in? everybody.
They were so vocal in the chat, and now they're like, what? We don't co-work. I don't know. Who are you? All right, same. There we go. Now we got it.
Well, I was trying to follow the rules and raise my hand. I didn't say come on down. I will say this. There was a time back in like September, I wanted to show up and I wanted to be focused and I needed to have that structure. So for me, it started out with the structure and there was consistency and I knew that it was happening every week. And then I started inviting other people to come in too that were also having those struggles, so to speak. And I enjoy it. I can go be in my box in the corner in the D&D. I can go take a phone call over here if I need to collaborate. And, I find out what works for me. And I show up so much. I have my own big bubble.
There it is. Thank you, Sang. Teresa.
What I love about Pomodoro is, my God, it changed my life because one, there's a pace that you work at when you do. You got 25 minutes or 40, whatever you're doing, to get back and to report. Yeah, I finished. Because if you don't, well, that means you got to continue, and that's the only time there's some things I'm going to finish, and so that's why I truly love it. But it's life changing, and because now I can think, oh, I've got 3 minutes before I do something. It's like, well, heck, I can do 5 things in that time. I mean, so now I have a whole different ethic of what I can really do with myself and my time. So thank you.
Love it. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Susan was talking about it was crucial to get my taxes done this year. And also she mentioned the double hit of co-working on Monday really ensures my week gets off on the right foot. And I think that is one of the things that we really want to talk about on the show today is some of the amazing people in our Ocean Report who are doing amazing co-working sessions here on Rippily. So let's head back over to the stage and I want to share my screen and show you guys some of the amazing places here in Rippily and the amazing people that are doing incredible things. And I think where did it go? Let's try this again and see if I can get it to come back up there. Okay. Can we see? Is everybody?
We can see.
Okay. It went away for me. Don't know, but it's back now. Okay. So I mentioned inside my community, the Breakthrough Show Network, you can find it in Discovery. And once you come over here, you will find Breakthrough Business Co-working. And it happens Mondays at 12:55 p.m. Eastern Time and Fridays at 9:55 a.m. Eastern Time. And a lot of people have asked me, why start on the 55? Why aren't you starting at the top of the hour? And that is because we have 5 minutes to check in before we get started. Then we can start promptly at the top of the hour. So I have that going on here. All right, let's head back over to Discovery. And one of the next places you'll find here is the Global Business Plaza. Tell us about your co-working, Peggy.
So we have co-working on Wednesdays. We call it Work at Wednesdays. And it is a Pomodoro style. We do, like I mentioned before, do your brave tasks, the thing you've been putting off. Do the, the important thing, do the hidden thing. We have different things that we do throughout our time. It's a 2-hour block and it is every Wednesday. Now on Thursdays, we have something that's called Get Shit Done. And that's a different type of co-working. It is where somebody in the community usually comes up and teaches us how to do something. Like maybe we need to do an automation and somebody's really good at it. And they're like, you know what, let me show you how to set up this automation, or let me show you how to set up your virtual calendar. And you know what you're doing and you get there and we all do one task together that day, whatever it may be. Profit and loss statements, you name it. We have done all sorts of things in Get Shit Done. And it's expert led and we're all following along. So by the end of the time, we have that thing done. So
nice. And
two different styles.
Yes. I love that too. And it's I didn't mention on mine as well, we have the end of the month business breakthrough co-working, which that in itself has just a very different structure than the normal stuff that we do during the week. So I love that both of our communities have a couple different options of the way things are done or what the structure of the community is. So I also want to mention a couple other amazing people here. And if you go and click on business under communities to explore, you're going to find a couple amazing communities here, including C3 Global Headquarters by Dr. CK, who was on the show a few weeks ago. And she has her C3G co-working Focus and Flow. And so you can find CK typically Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for co-working at different times. And when you go into her co-working space, you will see down the bottom that she has the calendar embedded, so you can find out about her sessions as well. So definitely take a look at that. And we also want to mention, I'm going to go back to discovery. And under that business category, you're going to find one of our audience members today, Artemis. She has her Tech Alchemy community. And inside of there, she has her Make It Happen co-working. And that happens every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. Everyone is welcome, as it says. And so definitely go and get plugged into all of these incredible co-working spaces. Those are just 4. There's lots more people that have co-working spaces inside of Rippily, so go check them out. And I'm very excited because next episode, I am actually going to have a list for you to be able to very easily get to all of these co-working spaces inside of Rippily. So be looking forward to that next week on the Rippily Show, which is happening on Tuesday, May 19th. 2026. Any final thoughts you have about co-working today, Peggy?
Well, I'm just really grateful to have a platform that is a place where creatives, business people, all different types of people can come together in one place and actually find their people and get really get things moving and get things done. One thing, I think it was Teresa that said, and I wanted to re-say it because I think that the thing with doing co-working when you're in an environment where it's timed is that you realize, oh, I could get 5 tasks done in that time. Instead of, it kind of takes that overwhelm done when you realize, oh, if I just sit here and do it, I can get all of these things done in that time. So sometimes I know I'm the type of person that if I feel overwhelmed, I won't start a task if I think it's going to take me too long. And then those things pile up. So that's one of the beauties with having community, as you can see how freaking awesome you are and how easy it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So lots of amazing ideas here for you today, and consider for yourself, do you need a co-working space in your community? What should it look like? But I think one of the amazing things for me to remember that I want to leave you with today is the importance of remembering what an incredible opportunity it is for you to support other communities. And so if you have a co-working space, consider teaming up with other people who have co-working spaces and saying, hey, how can we support each other's co-working? How can we bring people? Because honestly, not every time works for everybody. So it's nice to have those different options for people to pick from. So what a conversation today. Co-working spaces may seem simple on the surface, but when they're designed intentionally, they become something really powerful. They're not just a place to work, but they are a place to return to, a place that creates rhythm, consistency, momentum, a place that it's not just another productivity hack. It's something that you're not doing your work alone. And that's why these spaces matter. So if you're thinking about creating your own co-working space or improving one you already have, join us Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time for the Rippily Dive. Get to meet lots of amazing people in the community. And honestly, if you haven't gotten at least your free account on Rippily yet, what are you doing with your life?
What are you doing with your life? For what?
Go to Rippily, RIPPILY.com, and we will continue to build together in real time. Together. That's the word, together, because it's always a fun to do things not by yourself. And so I want you to join us next week. We're going to be back here, like I said, Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 at 12 p.m. Eastern time for another episode of The Rippily Show, where you can join us and experience what's possible. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. This is Peggy McCartha, and we will see you guys next time on another episode. Thanks, everybody. Bye, guys.
Yay!